When I woke up from the car crash, my doting alpha husband was a different man. He no longer whispered sweet nothings to me, no longer pulled me into his warm embrace, no longer kissed me with that fierce urgency. He even stone-facedly rejected me when I tried to throw myself into his arms. I was heartbroken. I had to win back his love. And with a lot of effort, my husband slowly came around, loving and protecting me with all his heart. Then I got my memory back. That's when I realized I'd scrambled my brains and cast myself as the tragic protagonist in a trashy romance novel. And to make matters worse, I'd mistaken my arch-nemesis, Billy Reed, for the alpha love interest. It was pure social suicide. I was about to make a run for it, but Billy yanked me back into his arms. The alpha's fingertips traced over my scent gland, which he'd practically marinated to his liking, and his voice was laced with danger. "Where do you think you're going, babe? I got into a car accident." When I woke up, my husband wasn't by my side. But he's a busy man. As a thoughtful and understanding Omega, I naturally wouldn't hold it against him. He probably hadn't even heard the news yet. Thinking this, I immediately pulled out my phone and went to my contacts. I found his number right away. Billy the dumbass alpha. I paused, my fingers gripping the edge of my phone. This is just how loving couples are. We always give each other special nicknames. Dumbass was just my little term of endearment for him. But right then, I thought of an even more direct nickname that would show him my heart. So I changed it to my dearest husband. With the contact updated, I dialed his number. The phone rang for a few seconds before a low, magnetic male voice came through. "What?" That one short word highlighted his concise, calm, and collected personality. "That's my husband for you." I crinkled my nose and said softly, "Honey, when are you coming to get me? I'm all alone at the hospital, and I'm a little scared." The other end was silent for a full 10 seconds. Just as I was starting to wonder if he'd hung up, his voice finally came back. "Julian, did you get dropped on your head this morning?" "Huh?" I was completely baffled. I had no idea what he was talking about, but the alpha's cold tone made me a little uneasy. My heart sank even further. "Honey, are you really not coming to get me? I'm hurt, and I want to see you." He went silent again for a moment, then said, "You're really at the hospital?" I nodded. Send me the location." After hanging up, I quickly texted him the hospital's address and my room number. I tried to find an excuse for his strange behavior. My husband is like that sometimes. To show how calm and composed he is, he hides his worry from me deep down inside. I sat on the hospital bed, bored, playing with the blanket. About 20 minutes later, Billy finally arrived. The door to my room swung open, and the alpha's tall, slender figure appeared. He was dressed in a sharp suit, one hand on the doorknob, revealing an expensive mechanical watch on his pale wrist. In the dimly lit room, his handsome, deep-set features were still as sharp as a blade, his jaw tight. He carried a natural air of authority. "That's my husband, all right. So handsome." My heart skipped a beat as I watched him walk toward me, step by step. I could almost predict the next words out of his mouth. "Who gave you permission to get hurt?" That domineering, aristocratic sense of control that was just so irresistible. Billy finally reached my bedside and looked down at me. He leaned in slightly, his thin lips forming a few words. Well, instant karma's a real thing, isn't it?" I blinked, not understanding. I slowly reached out and grabbed the lapel of his jacket. "Honey, I didn't mean to get hurt." I lowered my eyes, blushing. "Tonight's punishment. Can you be a little gentle?" For a second, Billy looked completely stunned. His gaze drifted down to my hand clutching his suit. His eyes darkened. He took me to see the doctor. That's just how a caring husband is. He couldn't stand the thought of anything being wrong with me. In the office, the doctor asked me a few insultingly simple questions like, "Who is he to you? And what is your relationship?" Then he stared at my CT scan, marveling at it with a worried frown. He spoke with Billy for a long time after that. I sat a little ways away, unable to hear clearly. What were they mumbling about? I just wanted to go home with my husband. Finally, they finished talking, and I saw Billy walking toward me. I was so happy that I was about to jump up and hug him like I always did, but he quickly put a hand out to stop me, rejecting my embrace. His tone was a bit stiff. "Walk properly." I froze, completely shocked. It had been so long since Billy had rejected me. What was this? Before I could process it, he grabbed my arm and started pulling me out the door. "Let's go." I followed behind him in a daze, all the way until we were sitting in his luxury car. I tried to comfort myself. Maybe he's just been feeling a little shy lately. He was probably embarrassed to be affectionate with other people around. The car moved smoothly down the road. I wanted to talk to Billy, but he looked like he was in a bad mood, so I kept quiet. "Julian, you might not have a clear grasp of your current situation," Billy said suddenly while I was zoning out. "You've scrambled your brain. I'm not your husband." My eyes shot open, and I turned to him in disbelief. What did you say?" My heart leaped into my throat, and I felt a surge of panic. "Honey, are you leaving me?" Billy said. "We were never a thing." I knew I had to do something, but I couldn't quite summon the right emotions. So I discreetly pinched my thigh hard. A single tear rolled down my cheek right on cue. I must have looked so pitiful, like a delicate flower in the rain. Billy cursed under his breath, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. "Julian, you play dirty. Your brain's fried and you're still finding new ways to torture me." "Huh?" He was softening. I let out a sigh of relief. I said meekly, "Honey, you know I can't live without you." Billy pulled the car to a stop in front of a villa. I turned to look, and my face went pale. Tears welled in my eyes. "Honey, this isn't our home." Billy's expression froze. 2 seconds later, he said, "I'm tired of driving. Can't I pull over for a break?" This was the place Billy had set up for me back when I was his little pet. But ever since we got married, I had moved into the Reed family estate and never came back here. Thankfully, Billy soon started the car again and drove toward our home. We were finally home. I was so happy I threw myself onto the soft sofa. After lying there for a while, I got thirsty and went to the kitchen for some water. That's when I made a shocking discovery. My favorite mug was gone. And it wasn't just my mug. My personal belongings, my toiletries, my dinnerware, my clothes, they had all vanished without a trace. Suppressing the shock and heartache, I asked Billy, "Honey, where are my things?" I couldn't keep my voice from trembling. Billy stood nearby, arms crossed, and sneered, "What, are you planning a takeover? Why don't you just put the deed in your name while you're at it?" Billy had changed. I had to admit it. He no longer whispered sweet nothings to me, no longer pulled me into his warm embrace, no longer kissed me with that fierce urgency. He'd even stone-facedly rejected me at the hospital when I tried to throw myself into his arms. A sharp pain stabbed at my heart as I tried to figure out why. I searched for clues in the things the alpha had said. He said my brain was scrambled. Was he saying I'd gotten stupid and wanted to abandon me? After all, my intelligence was one of the things that had attracted him to me in the first place. My face went pale. I walked over to him, cautiously tugging on his sleeve. "Honey, my brain isn't broken. I'm still very smart. Please don't leave me." The tall alpha in front of me froze. Then his tone softened. "I had all your things replaced. The new stuff will be here in a couple of days." My eyes lit up, and I looked up at him. "I still want to have matching couple sets with you." Billy looked at me, looking like he wanted to say something but was holding back. Finally, he said through gritted teeth, "Fine. This couldn't go on." If Billy really grew tired of me, then my life, my career, my family, everything would be over. I would have nothing without him. I still remembered how things were a few years ago. My father had disappeared, my mother was gravely ill, and the entire weight of our lives fell on my shoulders. A college student who hadn't even graduated yet. I met Billy in a bar where I was working part-time. Under the dazzling lights, the powerful man swirled the drink in his hand. His eyes locked on me. He offered me a lifeline. With no other choice, I agreed to become his lover. He helped me finish my degree and gave me the money to pay for my mother's medical treatments. But at the same time, he took firm control of my life. He spoiled me, protected me, and gave me a life of luxury. But then, I accidentally overheard from one of his friends that I was just a stand-in. Billy's first love had gone abroad, so he found me, someone who looked a little like him, to keep by his side as a replacement. Shock, regret, heartbreak. I decided to leave him, but the domineering alpha, a man who held the whole city in the palm of his hand, wouldn't let me go. Billy refused to let me leave. He said he'd genuinely fallen for me and wanted to marry me. Finally, after a series of misunderstandings and hardships, we got together and were married. And I had truly fallen in love with him. I didn't want to leave him, and I couldn't leave him. After all, everything I had now was because of him. Even if I wasn't thinking about myself, I couldn't bear to see my mother suffer again. I took a deep breath and made a silent vow. I will win back his love. I was confident that with my sharp mind and stunning looks, winning him over again would be a piece of cake. Night fell. I sat on the edge of the bed in the new pajamas Billy's assistant had just delivered, waiting for him. A few minutes later, the sound of the shower stopped, and Billy walked out, rubbing his wet hair with a towel. I had purposely struck a pose, carefully positioning myself so the overhead light would perfectly illuminate my cheeks. Then, as he came out, I casually glanced up at him. My porcelain face, bathed in the warm light, must have looked absolutely beautiful. I never expected Billy to take half a step back without a moment's hesitation. His brow twitched. "Are you trying to film a horror movie in here?" I pouted, thinking to myself that straight alphas could be so dense. I didn't dwell on it and continued, "Honey, it's late. Let's go to bed." The alpha's firm abs were faintly visible under his bathrobe. I licked my lips, my face flushing without me even realizing it. "You sleep in the guest room." Now, I was crushed. "Honey, how is that any different from telling me to jump off the balcony?" Billy pressed a hand to his forehead and paced in a small circle, probably trying to hide his inner conflict. He gave in. We didn't sleep in separate beds, but we did have separate blankets. I was naturally not happy about it, but Billy said, "Just behave, okay? My financial advisor said we need to sleep under separate blankets, or we'll go bankrupt." Hearing that, the protest on the tip of my tongue died. Okay, fine. While his wealth was one of his less important qualities, if he went bankrupt, we'd be sleeping on the street. I clutched the corner of my blanket and closed my eyes, feeling wronged. The credit card Billy gave me was gone. The discovery felt like a bolt from the blue. I was just a helpless omega who couldn't survive without him. If I didn't have the card he gave me, how was I supposed to eat, drink, and be merry, live a normal life? So that day, when he got home from work, I shuffled over to his side, hesitating. I wasn't a materialistic omega who only cared about money, so asking for it was still a bit difficult. Billy glanced at me, then scooted 3 feet away. My heart ached, but I finally worked up the courage to speak. "Honey, the card you gave me is gone. Could you, give me some more money?" Billy's tone was full of disbelief. "I haven't even charged you for room and board, and you're asking me for money?" I was stunned. But you've always been the one who gives me money. I don't have any left." He sneered. "You poached a project from me just last month." I had no idea what he was talking about, but it sounded like he wasn't going to give me any money. I looked away, dejected. "Fine, if you don't want to, I'll figure something out. I can always set up a stall on the street." Billy said, "Set it up far away. The east side would be best." The east side was miles away from here. Despite what he said that night before bed, Billy handed me a black card. I knew it. He still had feelings for me. Besides, with his possessive nature, he'd never let me go out and make a spectacle of myself. I looked at him, touched. "Thank you, honey." Billy replied lazily, "I'm charging you interest." It had been almost 2 weeks since I came home from the hospital. Billy still refused to touch me. I was so depressed I'd even started ordering 2 fewer items on my takeout orders. I decided it was time to take more drastic action. They say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So, I sent Billy a message. "Honey, come home early today. I'm making you a special dinner full of love." Billy replied quickly, "Who wants to eat your takeout?" I snorted. He really underestimated me. As a thrifty, all-around talented Omega. Something as simple as cooking was naturally no problem for me. After sending the message, I dove into the kitchen. However, probably due to a lingering side effect of the car crash, my mind was a complete blank when it came to cooking. I had to pull out my phone and look up tutorials, grabbing a few random ingredients from the fridge and throwing them together. Half an hour later, thick smoke was billowing out of the kitchen. Clutching a spatula, I ran out into the yard, dizzy and light-headed from the smoke. I ran into Billy, who had just gotten home, and rushed over to him in a panic. "Honey, I think the kitchen spontaneously combusted." "Billy? So you're just blowing up my kitchen now? Not even trying to be subtle, are we?" Luckily, there was no fire. Billy went into the kitchen, fiddled around with a few things, and opened the windows to air it out. Then he stared at the contents of the pot and asked me, "This is what you made? A pile of?" He couldn't find the words to describe it, and neither could I. But at this point, I was still deeply ashamed. I closed my eyes, my voice heavy with grief. "Honey, it's been a while since I've cooked. I'm a little rusty. You're not mad at me, are you?" Billy scoffed. "Give me a break. You've never stepped foot in here." He took the spatula I was unconsciously gripping in my hand and looked me up and down. His voice was a little stiff. "You're not hurt, are you?" I knew it. He still cared about me. I wiped away a non-existent tear from the corner of my eye. No. In the end, Billy drove me out to eat. That night, lying in bed, he said, "From now on, we talk things out. No more starting fires. Just tell the housekeeper what you want to eat." Okay. Thinking about what happened earlier, I was still a little scared, so I threw caution to the wind and dove into Billy's arms. I didn't control my strength, which made Billy let out a muffled grunt. "You're not trying to murder me, are you?" It had been so long since I'd snuggled with my husband. Feeling the strong, solid body beneath me, my heart soared. I discreetly slipped my hand under his blanket and looked up at him. "Honey, I'll listen to you. I won't go into the kitchen again. It's a shame I can't make you a special meal anymore." Billy's body stiffened slightly. He raised a hand. Just as I thought he was going to push me away again, I felt his large palm cup the back of my head, pressing my face into his chest. "You're such an idiot. Do I look like I'm starving?" As he spoke, I could feel the slight vibration from his chest. Worry seeped through his serious tone. "Do you have any sense of self-preservation? No more reckless stunts." I smiled sweetly. "I knew you were worried about me." Billy froze for a second. "I was just worried my house would become a crime scene." I didn't comment. I had long seen through his tough on the outside, soft on the inside act. After a while, a low voice came from above me. "That's enough. Don't you think you've been squeezing for long enough?" I sheepishly retracted my hand from his abs. Since the win his stomach approach failed, I had to find another way. After thinking it over, I decided seduction was probably the most effective method. Remembering some of the games we used to play, I quickly ordered a few outfits online. Of course, I didn't just sit around while waiting for the clothes to arrive. I dedicated myself to making subtle physical contact with Billy. With a body like mine right in front of him, he could resist on the first day, and he could resist on the 10th day. But I didn't believe he could hold out forever. I was determined to drive him wild. Having made up my mind, I immediately put my plan into action. That evening, while Billy was sitting on the living room sofa, I casually went over and sat next to him. The heat quickly built up between our touching legs. Billy glanced at me, then shifted a little to the right. I followed him. He moved again, and so did I. After the fourth time, the alpha's deep voice rumbled. "Is that side of the sofa on fire?" "Honey." I laced my fingers together and wrapped my arms around his. "I just feel so safe when I'm next to you." A flicker of emotion appeared in Billy's brown eyes. He composed himself, his expression returning to normal. 5 months and 4 days ago, you tripped over your own feet, fell onto my leg, and said you were going to chop it off. Huh? I tried to comfort him. "Honey, what a terrible nightmare. You must have been so stressed back then." Billy's brow twitched, but he didn't answer. Seeing that he hadn't pushed me away, I was encouraged and pressed on. I turned to stare at his sharp, smooth jawline, tilted my face up, and leaned in to kiss his cheek. Billy was stunned. Then he suddenly grabbed my wrist, his eyes dark and intense. "Julian, you're all flirty now, but you're not going to try and chop me up later, are you?" I looked back at him innocently. "I would never think of doing that. Honey, you haven't touched me in so long." Billy's eyes narrowed. "You want me to touch you?" "Of course," I said frankly. "You're my husband. You can do whatever you want to me." As I said it, my cheeks grew warm. I was a modest omega after all. Saying something like that was still quite embarrassing. The words had barely left my lips when Billy's hand cupped my cheek. His cool fingertips traced my skin. "No regrets?" I licked my lips. "No regrets." A mischievous glint flashed in Billy's eyes, and he suddenly pulled out his phone. "Let me get some proof." "Say what you just said again." I pouted. I wasn't going to go back on my word. Why didn't he trust me? But I nodded anyway. "Okay." When I saw he had started recording, I said seriously, "Billy Reed is my husband, my alpha. He can do whatever he wants to me, and I won't regret it." The moment I finished, Billy tossed his phone aside. Before I could react, he lunged forward and kissed me. Our lips met, our breaths so close they intertwined. My heart trembled violently as a wave of tingles rushed through my body. We had kissed before, but why was my heart pounding so fast now? It was so thrilling I thought I might pass out. Billy didn't deepen the kiss, just pressed his lips against mine, gently grinding. When he pulled back, he gave my lower lip a little bite. He stood up, his voice a bit hoarse. "Let's go upstairs." Then he turned and left. I sat on the sofa in a daze, watching his retreating back. Seeing his well-defined backside, tightly encased in his suit pants, I felt a strange and sudden urge to kick it. I patted my cheeks, trying to suppress the bold, weird thought. A faint fragrance filled the air. Cherry blossoms drifting over a snowy peak, ice and softness eroding each other. It was the scent of our pheromones. The seduction was a resounding success, and I was greatly encouraged. I quickly started planning my next move. 2 days later, the clothes I'd ordered started to arrive. Today's outfit was a schoolboy uniform. A light gray sweater vest over a white button-down shirt, the tie neatly done, with the collar slightly open to reveal a hint of soft, pale skin. I even did my hair. It would take Billy right back to when we first met, back when I was a fresh-faced college kid. Soon, I heard Billy's footsteps in the yard. I quickly struck a pose, sitting at a table near the entryway. I rolled up my sleeves, my slender fingers gently turning the pages of a book. The moment Billy stepped through the door, I looked up. My eyes crinkled as I smiled. "Honey, you're home." Billy did indeed stop in his tracks. Did you go to a Comic-Con today?" "No." Worried he couldn't see clearly, I brought the book over to him. "Doesn't this look make you feel nostalgic?" Billy took the book from my hands and let out a muffled laugh. "Reading a third-grade textbook, are we, little Julian?" I froze. I had borrowed the book from a woman I ran into in the neighborhood, telling her any book would do. I hadn't even looked at it. Who knew it was an elementary school textbook? My face flushed red. I snatched the book back and put it on the table behind me, out of sight. "That's not the point." I fluttered my eyelashes. "Honey, I dressed up just for you. Do I look good?" Billy looked down, his gaze fixed on me for a few seconds. He placed a large hand on my head and, for once, didn't tease me. "Yeah, not bad." I pushed my luck and threw myself into his arms. This time, he didn't reject me. One arm wrapped around my waist, holding me securely against him. As we hugged, I started reminiscing. "Honey, do you remember? Back in college, we met at a bar. I was being bullied, and you saved me like a knight in shining armor. Later, you asked me to be with you. You paid my tuition and my sick mother's medical bills. Maybe that's when I fell deeply in love with you." Billy was silent for a moment. "Does your mom know she's sick, all the way over in Europe?" I said, "Oh right, and you even arranged for her to be treated at the best hospital there." After another moment of hugging, Billy peeled me off him. He led me to the living room and sat me down. Suddenly, he made a request. "Let me see your phone." I unlocked my phone and handed it to him. Billy confirmed, "You're really letting me see it?" I nodded. A husband who wants to check my phone must be a husband who cares about me deeply. Then I watched as Billy opened a red iconed app on my phone and started scrolling through something. It was the novel app one used to kill time. I hadn't opened it in ages. I didn't know what he was looking for, but a good, obedient Omega wouldn't ask questions, so I said nothing. Billy's fingers flew across the screen. His expression shifted from surprise to amazement to resignation, then finally to numbness. It was quite a show. After a long moment, he took a shallow breath. Found it. The source of all evil. I had no idea what Billy saw on my phone. I just felt like his attitude toward me was much softer now than it was the day I left the hospital. The results were good. I believed it wouldn't be long before he came around completely. That night, I clutched the corner of my blanket. I asked him, "Honey, can we sleep under the same blanket tonight?" Billy said no. I was dejected. Why? Billy sighed, resigned. You really think I'm a teenage mutant ninja turtle? My eyes darted around as I caught the hidden meaning in his words. Oh, come on. We've been married for so long. Why are you still so shy? Billy, not shy. Scared. I was confused. Scared of what? Scared you'll chop me up. I sighed internally. It seemed Billy was truly traumatized by his nightmares. I decided I had to show him my determination. So, when he wasn't looking, I suddenly threw back the corner of his blanket and dove in. I yelled, "Here comes the treasure hunter." I reached a hand down toward his lower body. Let's see if my husband's treasure is big enough. Billy froze for a second but reacted quickly, grabbing my wrist. Jules, are you out of your goddamn mind? He was an alpha and naturally stronger than me. Couldn't break free. So I let my eyes droop and stared at him pitifully. Honey, look at me. I dare you to tell me you feel nothing. Maybe my expression was too pathetic because Billy's grip loosened. My heart leaped with joy and I made my move. Gotcha. This time I successfully landed my hand right on his special spot. After less than 2 seconds, I snatched it back, trembling. Now it was my turn to be dumbfounded, unsure whether to praise him or myself. Was I always this voracious? In a daze, the world spun around me. Billy had grabbed both of my wrists with one hand and pinned me underneath him. His knees pressed against my hips, immobilizing me instantly. Billy's dark eyes stared at me intently, a blush spreading from his neck to the tips of his ears. He leaned down and pinched my cheek with his free hand. He said through gritted teeth, "You little maniac." I opened my mouth to argue, but he silenced me with a kiss. The alpha kissed me fiercely. This time it was a deep kiss, our ragged breaths and the wetness of our lips and tongues magnified in my senses. I arched my neck, letting myself drown in his fiery plunder. The air grew hot. Without realizing it, we had both released our pheromones. The scent of a snowy mountain suddenly filled the room, a silent, sudden blizzard carrying an innate chill. But when it touched my skin, it melted into a thin mist in a pine forest, a cool, steady woody note that was deeply comforting. Billy let go of my hands, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck. As the snowstorm swirled, cherry blossoms bloomed, their sweet but not cloying fragrance floating gently in the air. Felt like we kissed for a very, very long time. So long that I was running out of breath when Billy finally pulled away. Our breathing was heavy, our bodies hot. I couldn't tell if it was his heat or mine. A sliver of reason remained in Billy's eyes, but I was already following my instincts. My hand hooked around his neck, refusing to let go. Honey, you haven't marked me in so long. My eyes were hazy. Bite me, please? Billy's throat bobbed. His voice was raw. Julian, it's too late for regrets now. His hand rested on the back of my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. On your stomach, good boy. I turned over, trembling. I gripped the pillow tightly. His canines pierced my scent gland, and his pheromones flooded into me, flowing through my body like warm, melted snow. My cherry blossom scent instinctively twined around his, the cool and the sweet tangling and merging in the air. Even a temporary mark had such a strong aftereffect. Now I wanted to be stuck to Billy's side every second of the day. But he had to go to work to support me. What a tragedy. One day, when he got home, he handed me a stack of documents. Sign these, Billy said. I've already looked them over. No issues. I was completely confused. I flipped through them for a bit when suddenly a dull ache started in my head. It feels like my brain is starting to grow back. I asked, honey, what are these? Documents for your company. Did you block your assistant? The poor guy had to track me down. What was he blabbering about? I didn't understand a thing. I pouted. The only people I block are scammers. But since Billy said there were no issues, there must not be any issues. So I signed my name with a flourish. Maybe this was my husband's inheritance for me. Wait, no, my assets. After signing, I smoothly walked over, sat on his lap, and hooked my arms around his neck, leaning against the alpha's firm chest. I tilted my face up for a kiss. Billy leaned down and kissed my lips for a while, releasing his pheromones. I closed my eyes in comfort. I wonder when your brain will get better. In a daze, I heard Billy murmur, but you're pretty cute like this, too. I smiled secretly. I knew Billy was still deeply in love with me. I finally got my wish and could sleep under the same blanket as him. But he still refused to fulfill his husbandly duties. He even repeatedly warned me not to ambush him like last time. For the sake of being able to hug my warm husband every night, I reluctantly agreed. That day, I changed into my second outfit, a sweet maid costume. The black and white ensemble had a lace hem that barely covered my upper thighs. A garter on my thigh held up a pair of translucent white stockings. This was my first time trying a style like this. It felt a little weird, but to make Billy go wild, I was willing to go all out. Estimating he would be home from work soon, I put on a pair of fuzzy cat ears. I saw him park his car through the window and ran to the entryway to wait. Soon, Billy opened the door. I quickly struck a pose. Meow. Billy's reaction was calmer than I expected. He stared at me for a few seconds, then looked away. Then I watched as he walked right past me. He went into the kitchen, came out, circled the living room, and went to the balcony. He looked busy, but I had no idea what he was doing. Feeling defeated, I was both angry and annoyed. I decided to follow him like a little shadow wherever he went. Honey, don't you have anything to say? Billy, you and your little tricks. He said it, but there wasn't a hint of disgust in his voice. I walked up and hugged him from behind, stopping him from pacing around the house. I wore this just for you, I said sullenly. You're being so cold. Isn't that a little disrespectful to your cute and obedient Omega? Billy turned around, trapping me against the wall. A storm was brewing in his eyes, and his breathing was ragged. My cheeks flushed, and I poked his chest with a fingertip. Man, are you playing with fire? You mean playing with cringe, right? Billy suddenly leaned in close, giving me a vivid demonstration. Julian, your brain isn't better yet, so I'm not touching you. But if you dare try to break up with me after you're better, I'll take you right then and there. I'll make sure you can never leave me. Huh? What? I stared at him, dumbfounded, trembling with excitement. Goosebumps rose on my skin. This was the feeling. A strange excitement welled up inside me. The domineering, tyrannical, obsessive Billy was back. I gave him a loud moi on the lips, my eyes full of flirtation. Can we do it right now? Billy bent down and slung me over his shoulder, his hand gripping my thigh almost painfully. My stomach pressed against his shoulder, and I couldn't help it. Gag. Then Billy silently switched to carrying me bridal style. He carried me into the bedroom and I sank into the soft, big bed. The alpha loomed over me, his cool scent enveloping me. His chilly fingertips rested on my scent gland, rubbing it until the rising warmth chased away the cold. His pheromones seeped in, invading my bloodstream. They were cool, yet they seemed to set my whole body on fire. I couldn't hold back a soft moan. Then I felt a light smack. Billy said, "Don't make sounds like that." I said, "It reminds me of all the times you messed with me before, and it's creepy as hell." Confused, I turned my head to look at him as he swatted my butt. Then he flipped me over, and the alpha's passionate kisses rained down. He tore my dress, and his veiny hands gripped my legs. The scent of snow-capped mountains and cherry blossoms in the room grew thicker and thicker. We still didn't go all the way, but he did have his way with me, flipping me over and over. When he was done, my legs were shaking, and my arms and thighs ached. Hooray! I had finally won Billy's heart back. He was back to being the doting, caring husband who cherished me. He would kiss me in the morning before he left, and at night before we slept he would catch me securely when I jumped into his arms. When he came home, he would bring me a different little gift every day. He would make time to go on dates with me. I thought we would live happily ever after like this. But everything changed that day. I was happily scrolling through my social feed when I saw a post from Leo. "Looks who's finally back in the country. Spencer's back. See you guys at Zenith tonight. Party popper party popper." The picture was of a slender, willowy figure from behind. The Omega was holding a bouquet of flowers, standing under an airport sign. A ray of sunlight shone through the glass, casting a warm glow on him. Leo was one of Billy's friends. I remember when Billy and I first got together, his friends all looked down on me. Couldn't be helped. Back then, I was just a poor Omega with a tragic backstory. Recognizing the person in the photo, alarm bells went off in my head. It was Billy's first love, Spencer. He was back? Did Billy still have feelings for him? Was he still thinking about him? The possibility sent a sharp pain through my chest, and panic washed over me. If he really still had feelings for Spencer, wouldn't that mean he might leave me? My mind was a mess. I opened my chat with Billy. Half an hour ago, he had texted me saying he had to work late and would be home late. What a coincidence. He was planning to go see Spencer, wasn't he? The pain in my heart was so intense I could barely breathe. After wallowing in my sadness for a while, I decided I couldn't just sit back and wait. I had to take the initiative to keep Billy by my side, to make him unable to leave me. After thinking it over and over, there was only one way. That night, I had the housekeeper make me a huge feast. I forced down 3 large bowls of food, each bite tasting like ash. I ate until my once flat stomach had a small, noticeable curve. Then I chugged a bottle of soda. Fully prepared, I dialed Billy's number. He picked up right away. "What's wrong?" "Honey," I drew out his name, sounding pathetic. "My stomach hurts a little. Can you come home and be with me right now?" "Your stomach hurts?" I heard some rustling on the other end, like he was standing up. Billy's deep voice came through the phone. "I'm on my way back now. What kind of pain is it? A stomachache or cramps? There's medicine in the living room cabinet. Second shelf, 3rd compartment. On second thought, don't take the wrong medicine. Just wait for me to get back. Or how are you feeling right now? Do you have the strength to take a cab to the hospital?" Billy spoke patiently. His voice was filled with worry and urgency. I felt a little guilty, but not much. "None of that is necessary," I said softly, clutching my phone. "Just come back quickly. I have something to tell you." Okay. 20 minutes later, Billy was back. He rushed in, looked me over from head to toe, paying special attention to my complexion. Although I tried my best to look listless, my face was probably too rosy. Billy looked at me suspiciously. "Does it still hurt?" "Honey," I lowered my eyes shyly. "Actually, I'm pregnant with your child." He was silent for a moment, his gaze sweeping over the dinner table, where the food hadn't been cleared yet. Then he said, "Are you pregnant with baby lobsters or beef stew?" I panicked a little when he saw through my plan so easily. I whipped up my shirt, revealing my slightly bulging belly. "Look, it's true, I'm having a baby." Billy pulled my shirt back down. He pulled me into his arms. "Sure, if you want one, we can have one later," he said. "You're not better yet. I'm afraid this thing might be hereditary. How much did you eat? Let me rub your stomach." As he spoke, he actually placed his hand on my stomach and began to gently massage it. Felt good, but I was still furious. He didn't believe me. My lips turned down. "Honey, don't you want our baby?" "Billy, how did you even get pregnant? You didn't cheat on me, did you?" "Of course not." I looked up and glared at him. "Have you forgotten? That night 3 months ago, we were so passionate we lost all track of time." Billy was speechless. I threw my arms around his waist and burrowed into his chest. "Anyway, I'm having your baby, and you're not allowed to leave me. You're not allowed to go see your old flame." I muttered the last sentence under my breath, but Billy still heard it. He repeated softly, Old flame? So the plot has progressed to this point. No wonder. I accused him, you forgot? In the beginning, you just used me as his substitute. The alpha gave my butt a punitive pat, his tone more serious than ever. That never happened. I've only ever loved you. I froze. He continued, I only love my sometimes obedient, sometimes cute Julian. I did then, I do now, and I always will. My heart was pounding. That sentence, for some reason, made me feel more fluttery than any hug or kiss. My heart filled with sweetness. I suddenly turned, straddled his lap, and looked at him face to face. I asked, really? Really, he said, exasperated. If I'm lying, you can chop me up. I happily hugged him, resting my head on his shoulder. Billy put a hand under my butt and suddenly stood up. I quickly wrapped my legs around his waist. He carried me upstairs in that position. The bedroom was soon filled with a rich, intoxicating scent. For the next few days, Billy came home from work on time and spent almost all his free time with me. When I occasionally checked up on him, he would reply instantly. He even proactively showed me his phone. I couldn't even find Spencer's contact in his messenger. And the anxiety in my heart finally dissipated. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. That day, we had just finished dinner at a restaurant. He ran into a business partner and had to chat, so I sat in the lobby waiting for him. Suddenly, someone sat down across from me and said in surprise, Julian? Hearing my name, I looked up, but my pupils contracted when I saw the person's face. It was Spencer. What are you doing here? He asked, looking at me warily. Are you here to cause trouble for Billy again? Why are you so damn persistent? A flash of panic passed through me, but then I remembered that I was the one in the relationship. I composed myself, picked up my drink, and stood up. Why can't I be here? I'm here with my husband, Billy Reed. At that, Spencer looked like he'd heard the funniest joke in the world and laughed mockingly. Your husband? Are you dreaming? Why would Billy ever like a brutish, aggressive omega like you? Don't you dare disgust him. My eyes widened in disbelief. What did I just hear? An omega like me, obedient, smart, understanding, brave, honest, sincere, optimistic, selfless, diligent, and resilient, was being described in such a horrible way? This was a truly vicious person. Don't you slander me, I said sternly. Be careful or you might get struck by lightning. Spencer stood up and leaned in, his expression disdainful. Well, it's been over a year, and you've learned how to put on an act. He paused, glanced behind me, and smirked. Let's see who Billy sides with. As he spoke, he grabbed my wrist and tried to pull me toward him. I took the opportunity to throw my entire drink on him. Everyone knows I'm a gentle and kind omega who rarely gets angry. But the moment the drink left my hand, I felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. Before I could say anything else, I heard hurried footsteps behind me. It was Billy. Spencer immediately played the victim. Billy, look at Julian. He's bullying me again. He looked aggrieved. I was just saying hi to him, and he suddenly threw his drink on me. My heart skipped a beat, and I turned stiffly to look at Billy, who had come to my side. I clenched my fists nervously. He looked me over from head to toe, as if checking for something. Then he asked, did he bully you? He was looking at me seriously when he said it. He was asking me. My nose started to tingle, and I nodded emphatically. Yeah. The smug look on Spencer's face froze. Billy, shouldn't you be asking me that? Billy wrapped an arm around my waist, pulling me into his embrace. Only then did he turn to Spencer, his voice turning cold. We're not that close, and my Julian doesn't start fights for no reason. You started it and now you're playing the victim? Now it was Spencer's turn to look completely incredulous. Doesn't start fights for no reason? Have you forgotten how he used to constantly pick fights with you? I'm not just anyone. Billy said without batting an eye. That was just us flirting. Is that so hard to understand? Spencer stood there, stunned, looking like an idiot. Apologize, Billy frowned, his voice radiating pressure. Look how you've scared my Julian. Spencer must have been genuinely scared witless because he managed to squeeze out a few words. I'm sorry. Then Billy led me away. He really did choose me over his old flame. My heart was filled with sweetness, and I was so moved I had tears in my eyes. Honey, you finally let me win for once. Billy played along. Don't worry, I won't let you lose from now on either. I got carried away with my triumph. I wasn't paying attention and walked straight into a glass door that was so clean it was practically invisible. There was a loud thud, and then I lost consciousness. I passed out. I woke up. My throbbing head was flooded with memories of the past. My history with Billy, and the nearly 3 months we'd spent together after the car accident. Scene after scene played out clearly in my mind. The old flame, the substitute, my broken self, and him as the hero who saved me, none of it ever happened. After the car accident, I had somehow cast myself as the protagonist of a trashy novel and mistaken Billy for the love interest. And who was Billy? My arch nemesis. We had been rivals, fighting tooth and nail for years. We couldn't even run into each other without cursing our bad luck. And I had gotten involved with him, and done all sorts of unspeakable things. I closed my eyes, feeling like I was about to faint. Good God, this was so embarrassing I could die. I replayed everything I had said and done with Billy since the accident in my head. My world went black. Was Billy secretly laughing at me this whole time? But he seemed to be enjoying himself lately. And taking a step back, was this whole situation really all my fault? No, Billy was just as much to blame. What was his deal, anyway? Did he fall for the brain-damaged version of me? What would he think if he knew I had my memory back? A sharp pain stabbed at my chest, but I didn't want to think about the possibilities. No, I needed a minute. I had to get out of here first. Billy wasn't in the room right now. I had no idea where he went. I rolled out of bed and headed for the door. My mind was a complete mess, and my steps were unsteady. As I rounded a corner, I ran right into Billy walking toward me. My brain shut down. My first instinct was to duck my head. A few seconds later, I turned to flee, but Billy yanked me back into his arms. The alpha's fingertips traced over my scent gland, which he'd practically marinated to his liking, and his voice was laced with danger. Where do you think you're going, babe? My body went limp, and my face burned. Billy, I accused, you took advantage of me. So you're really back to normal, huh? Billy let out a soft laugh and retorted. How so? It was consensual. I even have proof. My mind instantly flashed back to all the embarrassing things the alpha had coaxed me into saying. I tried to snatch the phone from his pocket, but Billy was faster, grabbing my wrist and pulling me in even tighter. He spoke right next to my ear, his cool voice tinged with a hint of grievance. Jules, you're so cruel. Are you really just going to use me and toss me aside? I instinctively shot back. I'm not. He looked down at me. Good. Then let's go home. I was stunned. I had my memory back, but Billy was acting like nothing had changed. He started pulling me along, but I stopped after a few steps. Billy, we weren't a couple before. I just got it wrong because my brain was messed up. Seeing his face darken, my voice grew smaller and smaller, and I looked down, feeling guilty. I'll say the same thing back to you, Billy said. Look at me. I dare you to tell me you feel nothing. With that, he cupped my face in his hands. Our eyes met, and his deep gaze was filled with love. My heart suddenly hammered against my ribs. Not only was there something, my mind was full of colorful thoughts. But I pouted, you never even officially asked me out. How can we be together? Fine. Billy's expression turned serious. Julian, I like you. Will you marry me? My eyes widened. I corrected him. Wrong. Just date me, not marry me. Try again. I like you. Will you go out with me? My heart was beating wildly. Took me 2 seconds to convince myself. I tried to suppress the smile that was about to break across my face and replied, okay, fine. Actually, being with Billy was pretty great. Seeing how he couldn't live without me, I guess I could spoil him a little. My mom wasn't gravely ill, and I wasn't some broke, pitiful omega. My dad died young, leaving me and my mom. A few years ago, after I took over the company, my mom flew abroad to live her life. I've known Billy for almost 7 years. He was a year ahead of me in college. I can't even remember why we started disliking each other. But our rivalry became the norm, and day after day, we left an indelible mark on each other's lives. And Spencer wasn't some old flame. He was a classmate of mine who's always had a crush on Billy. I just can't stand him because he's so fake and manipulative. The downside of getting my memory back is that I have to go back to work. Billy had been handling things for me, trusting someone to make decisions temporarily. No more happily sleeping in. I was so annoyed. That night, I asked Billy hypothetically, couldn't you just support me? No need to be hypothetical. His hand restlessly slipped under my shirt, resting on my waist. I'll support you. I sighed, non-committal. As we chatted, Billy soon got hung up on what I called him. Jules, how come you don't call me honey anymore? It was way too cheesy. I couldn't bring myself to say it now. So I said dismissively, we're not even married yet. In your dreams. Then when are we getting married? I counted on my fingers. We only just started dating 3 days ago. Billy paused, then said, then what were the last 2 months? I laughed. That was me getting it all for free.